6 months after the Battle of Earth, the galaxy was still learning to live with the truth about humanity. Admiral So Young stood on the bridge of Terra Nova, watching as her planet ship coordinated the largest military operation in galactic history. The hunt for the remaining Devourers was nearly complete. "Final system sweep completed," reported Captain Byung-ho from his tactical station. "No Devourer signatures detected in the outer rim. That's the last of them." So Young nodded with satisfaction. Every Devourer ship had been found and destroyed. Every piece of their technology had been gathered and studied. The ancient threat that had terrorized the galaxy for millions of years was finally extinct. "Signal all fleet elements," she ordered. "Operation Final Hunt is complete." All units returned to base for reorganization. But the military victory was just the beginning. The real challenge was what came next. On Nexus Prime, the Federation Council was holding its first meeting since the restructuring. The old council chamber had been expanded to accommodate new realities. Representatives from the traditional alien species sat alongside human military officers who were no longer pretending to be simple diplomats. Ambassador Hyun-woo, now revealed as General Hyun-woo of the Human Defense Force, took his place at the head of the council table. The other species had voted unanimously to make him the first Secretary General of the Reformed Federation. It wasn't really a choice. Humanity had proven beyond doubt that they were the only species capable of protecting galactic civilization. "The first order of business," Hyun-woo began, "is the integration of human and alien military forces. We've prepared training programs that will help your fleets work alongside our capabilities." General Crix of the Vorthak shifted uncomfortably in his chair. His species, once proud of their military might, now felt like children playing with toy soldiers. "General Hyun-woo, my people are having difficulty accepting our new status. For generations, we believed ourselves the greatest warriors in the galaxy. And you are still great warriors," Hyun-woo replied diplomatically. "You just need different training. Commander Sung-min will be heading up the Joint Military Academy where your officers can learn our tactics." Commander Sung-min, sitting nearby, nodded respectfully to the Vorthak general. "Your people have courage and honor, General. We're not trying to replace those qualities. We're trying to enhance them with better technology and tactics." Admiral Thys of the Zilani spoke up next. "My concern is different. Your technology is so far advanced beyond ours that we feel obsolete. What role can our ships play in a galaxy protected by planet-sized warships?" Dr. Ji Hai, now openly serving as the Federation's chief science officer, answered that question. "Your ships are faster and more maneuverable than our larger vessels. In joint operations, speed and agility are just as important as raw firepower. We've designed new roles for every ship class in every fleet. The integration wasn't just military. Human industrial capacity, hidden for 2 centuries, was now being used to rebuild worlds damaged by the Devourer attacks. Construction Chief Dong Min oversaw massive engineering projects that made alien observers question the laws of physics. "The terraforming of New Ryloth will be completed in 6 months," he reported to the council. "We're using the same world-shaping technology that built our planet ships. The Zilani refugees will have a home that's better than the one they lost." Resource Director Yoon-ji coordinated the massive logistics network that was rebuilding galactic civilization. Supply lines that had been hidden as trade routes now operated openly, moving resources on a scale that boggled alien economists. "Food distribution to the refugee worlds is ahead of schedule," she reported. "Our agricultural facilities can feed the entire galaxy 3 times over. No one will go hungry while we rebuild." But not everyone was happy with the new order. On the industrial world of Corvin Prime, a group of alien leaders met in secret to discuss what they saw as humanity's occupation of the galaxy. "They saved us." "Yes," grumbled Trade Minister Vex of the Corvin Syndicate. "But at what cost? Human ships patrol our space. Human officers command our fleets. Human technology makes our own industries obsolete. Are we free or are we just slaves to a kinder master? What choice do we have?" asked Director Call of the Mining Guild. "They have weapons that can destroy planets. They have fleets we can't match. They have technology we can't understand. If we oppose them, we're extinct." Similar conversations were happening throughout the galaxy. Some species accepted human protection gratefully. Others resented their sudden dependence on beings they had considered weak traders. A few began to plot resistance. Captain Tae-ho, now commanding a joint human-alien task force, detected the first signs of organized rebellion. His ship, the New Soul, was monitoring communications in the border regions when his sensors picked up encrypted transmissions between several minor species. "Sir, we're intercepting coded messages about liberation from human tyranny," his communication officer reported. "It looks like some species are planning coordinated resistance." Tejo sighed. He had expected this. No species liked to feel powerless, even when that powerlessness came with protection and prosperity. "Signal Earth Command," he ordered. "Tell them we have a political problem developing." The Shadow Council, no longer operating in secret, met to discuss the growing unrest. The 5 leaders who had guided humanity's secret preparations now faced the challenge of managing an open empire. "We can't rule through fear," Admiral So Young said firmly. "That would make us exactly what our critics claim we are. But we can't ignore organized resistance either," warned Strategic Coordinator Minho. "If we let one rebellion succeed, others will follow." Dr. Jihai had been studying the psychological profiles of the species involved in the resistance. "They're not really angry about our protection. They're angry about their loss of status. They want to feel important again." General Hyunwoo, participating via hologram from Nexus Prime, considered the problem. What if we give them something important to do? Not charity work, but real responsibility for galactic defense? The solution they developed was elegant. Instead of ruling the galaxy directly, humanity would serve as senior partners in a new defense structure. Each species would have specific roles based on their unique capabilities. The Vorthak would handle ground operations. The Zalani would manage advanced sensors and communications. The trading species would run logistics and supply. Commander Yujin, now Admiral of the Combined Fighter Forces, implemented the new structure at the military academy on New Earth. Pilots from dozens of species trained together, learning tactics that combined human technology with alien innovation. "The key," she explained to her mixed species class, "is not to fight like humans. It's to fight like the best version of yourselves enhanced by human technology." A young Vorthak pilot raised his hand. "Admiral, my people are worried that we're becoming human puppets. How do we maintain our identity while using your tactics?" Yujin smiled. "By being better Vorthaks than you've ever been before. Our technology doesn't change who you are. It makes you more effective at being who you are." The Academy became a symbol of the new galaxy. Species that had barely tolerated each other now worked together against common threats. Human instructors taught alien students, while alien experts shared their unique perspectives with human officers. Captain Wu Jin, now commanding a massive joint fleet, led the first major operation under the new structure. A group of pirates, thinking the galaxy was weak after the Devourer War, had attacked several border worlds. His fleet included human planet ships, Vorthak assault carriers, Zalani stealth cruisers, and fast attack craft from a dozen other species. Working together, they tracked down the pirates in 3 days and captured them without firing a shot. The mere appearance of the combined fleet was enough to convince the criminals to surrender. "This is what the galaxy can accomplish when we work together," Wu Jin transmitted to his diverse crew. "Not humans ruling aliens or aliens serving humans, but all of us protecting the peace we've built." The resistance movements gradually faded as species found meaningful roles in the new order. Some former rebels even joined the reformed Federation military, bringing fresh perspectives to human strategies. 5 years after the Devourer War, Ambassador Hyunwoo stood before the Galactic Assembly for his annual address. The chamber was packed with representatives from hundreds of worlds, all of them free, prosperous, and protected. "When humanity first joined this federation 2 centuries ago," he began, "we made a promise. We said we came in peace, seeking friendship and trade. That promise was both true and false. True because we genuinely wanted peace, false because we came prepared for war." He paused, looking out at the diverse faces in the assembly. Aliens who had once feared human deception now listened with respect and gratitude. "Today I make a new promise. Humanity will continue to guard this galaxy. We will continue to prepare for threats that others cannot see. We will continue to develop weapons that others cannot imagine. But we will never use that power to rule. We are guardians, not conquerors. Protectors, not masters." The assembly erupted in applause. Representatives from species that had once plotted rebellion now stood to cheer the beings who had saved their civilization. The first thing Admiral Thess noticed about the approaching human fleet was the size. Her sensors kept recalibrating because they couldn't believe what they were detecting. ships larger than asteroids, vessels that registered as having the mass of small moons, and behind them something that made her 4 eyes blink in disbelief. "Admiral," her sensor officer whispered, "I'm reading 3 contacts with planetary mass. They're artificial worlds, with engines." Terra Nova emerged from hyperspace like a small planet deciding to go for a walk. Its surface was covered in cities that glowed with their own light. Weapon emplacements the size of mountains dotted its continents. Launch bays opened like vast caverns, releasing fighter squadrons that numbered in the hundreds of thousands. Captain Byung-ho stood on Terra Nova's command bridge, watching as his world ship took its place in the galaxy's greatest battle. Around him, tactical displays showed the full scope of humanity's secret fleet. 2 centuries of hidden construction, weapons that could crack worlds, ships that could build new fleets while fighting. "All defensive platforms online," reported his weapons coordinator. "Planetary shields at maximum. Fighter wings deploying." Through the vast windows of his command center, Byung-ho could see the surface of his ship stretching to the horizon. This wasn't just a warship. It was a mobile civilization, ready to fight and die to protect the galaxy that had never known it existed. The Devourer response was immediate and terrifying. 100 enemy ships materialized near Nexus Prime, their black hulls reflecting no light. They had come to finish what they started millions of years ago. They expected to find the same weak prey they had always devoured. Instead, they found humanity. Commander Yu Jin led the first wave of fighters from New Earth, the second planet ship to arrive. Her pilots had trained their entire lives for this moment. They flew in formations that seemed to violate the laws of physics, their ships moving in perfect harmony like they shared a single mind. "All wings. This is Wing Commander Yu Jin," she transmitted to her massive fighter force. "Today we show the galaxy what we've been building. Today we prove that the cycle of destruction ends here." Her fighters swarmed the Devourer vessels like angry insects, but these insects had stings that could punch through battleship armor. Their weapons, hidden from the galaxy for centuries, tore into Devourer shields with devastating effect. For the first time in millions of years, the ancient enemy found themselves fighting enemies that could actually hurt them. On Nexus Prime, the Federation leadership watched in stunned silence as humanity's true fleet engaged the Devourers. General Crix, his species' greatest military mind, could only stare as human tactics that he'd never seen before proved devastatingly effective. "How is this possible?" he muttered. Their coordination, their weapons, their ship designs, none of this technology appeared in any intelligence reports. Ambassador Hyunwoo stood beside him, no longer bothering to hide his military bearing, because we made sure it didn't. Every human you met, every ship you scanned, every piece of technology you studied was a carefully crafted lie. "But why?" Admiral Thys demanded. "Why the deception? Why not work with us openly?" "Because you would have tried to stop us," Hyunwoo said simply. "Every species in this galaxy thinks they're the most advanced, the most powerful. If we had revealed our true capabilities, some of you would have seen us as a threat. There would have been wars, politics, interference. We couldn't afford any of that." Dr. Ji-Hai's voice came over the communication system, broadcasting to every ship in the Federation fleet. "This is Dr. Ji-Hai of the Human Defense Force. I'm transmitting detailed tactical data on Devourer weaknesses to all allied vessels. Use targeting pattern Alpha 7 for maximum effectiveness against their organic hulls." The information that followed was incredibly detailed. Biological analyses that would have taken decades to complete. Weapon effectiveness charts based on extensive testing. Shield frequency patterns that could only come from years of study. "How did you learn all this?" asked the Federation's chief scientist. "The attacks only started weeks ago. We've been studying Devourer remains for 200 years, Ji-Hai replied calmly. Every derelict ship, every piece of debris, every fragment of their technology left scattered across the galaxy. We knew they would return. We've been preparing for this war since the day we joined the Federation. The tide of battle began to turn. Human planet ships served as mobile fortresses, their massive weapons reaching out across space to destroy Devourer vessels. Fighter squadrons from Terra Nova and New Earth overwhelmed enemy point defenses. The hidden human fleet, revealed at last, demonstrated capabilities that made alien observers question everything they thought they knew about warfare. Captain Wu Jin, his ship no longer disguised, coordinated joint operations between human and alien forces. Vorthak heavy cruiser Strength of Kalar, Adjust your approach vector to bearing 27 Mark 8. Our fighters will clear the anti-ship defenses for your assault run. The Vorthak captain's response was filled with awe. Human vessel, your fighters just destroyed 3 Devourer escorts in 40 seconds. How is that possible? Practice, Wu Jin replied. Lots and lots of practice. What the aliens didn't know was that human pilots had been training against simulated Devourer vessels for generations. Every tactic, every weakness, every possible combat scenario had been studied and planned for. The humans weren't just fighting with superior technology. They were fighting with 2 centuries of preparation. Strategic Coordinator Minho watched the battle unfold from his command center, now revealed as one of the most sophisticated military installations in the galaxy. His displays showed the true scope of humanity's preparations. Hidden bases throughout the galaxy, secret fleets positioned at strategic points, weapon stockpiles that could supply wars for decades. Sir, the Devourer main fleet is moving toward Earth, reported one of his analysts. 300 ships, including some we haven't seen before. Larger than anything they've deployed. Minho smiled grimly. Signal Admiral So Young. Tell her it's time to reveal our final surprise. The 3rd planet ship, Humanity's Will, had been waiting in Earth's shadow. As the Devourer fleet approached humanity's homeworld, expecting to find a lightly defended planet, they instead encountered something that defied all logic. Earth itself had been transformed into a fortress. The planet's surface was covered in weapon installations. The moon had been hollowed out and turned into a massive military base. Orbital platforms surrounded the system like a deadly web of steel and energy. But the real surprise was Earth's population. Every human on the planet was military trained. Every city was a fortress. Every civilian facility was a disguised weapons factory. Humanity hadn't just built a secret fleet. They had turned their entire homeworld into the galaxy's most powerful military installation. Commander Sungmin, leading a squadron of Earth's home defense fighters, transmitted to the approaching Devourer fleet. This is Commander Sungmin of Earth Defense Command. You have entered human space. Turn back now or be destroyed. The Devourer response was predictable. Energy beams reached out toward Earth, expecting to burn the planet's surface clean. Instead, they struck planetary shields that had been designed to withstand the destruction of stars. The attacks that had cracked worlds barely registered on Earth's defenses. All units, weapons free, So Young ordered from her flagship. Show them what happens when you threaten our home. The battle for Earth lasted 3 hours. When it was over, the Devourer fleet had been completely annihilated. Not a single enemy ship escaped. The ancient threat that had terrorized the galaxy for millions of years had been crushed by a species they had never encountered before. Resource Director Yunji watched the aftermath from her command post deep beneath Earth's surface. Her logistics networks, hidden for 2 centuries, began coordinating the massive effort needed to hunt down the remaining Devourer forces throughout the galaxy. Casualty reports? She asked her aide. Minimal. Less than 1,000 human deaths across all engagements. We've lost more people in training accidents, Yunji nodded. The careful preparation had paid off. Humanity had fought the galaxy's greatest enemy and won without breaking a sweat. On Nexus Prime, the Federation Council struggled to comprehend what they had witnessed. The weak, peaceful humans they had known for 2 centuries had revealed themselves as the most powerful military force in galactic history. This changes everything, General Crick said quietly. Every strategic assumption, every military plan, every balance of power calculation, all of it was based on lies. Ambassador Hyunwoo looked around the chamber at the faces of beings who were seeing their universe turned upside down. Not lies, he corrected. Misdirection. We let you believe what you needed to believe so we could protect you when the time came. And now? Admiral Thiss asked. What happens now that your secret is revealed? Hyunwoo smiled, and for the first time since the aliens had known him, it was completely genuine. Now we finish what we started. The Devourers still have ships scattered throughout the galaxy. We're going to hunt down every last one of them and make sure they can never threaten anyone again. Lieutenant Commander Sung Min watched another refugee convoy die on his scanner. The Zalani transport ships, loaded with civilians fleeing the Outer Rim, never had a chance against the Devourer patrol that found them. 5,000 lives snuffed out in seconds. His squadron of human scouts was supposed to be mapping safe routes for evacuation. That was their official mission. What they were really doing was hunting Devourers. Ghost Leader, this is Ghost 3, came a transmission from one of his pilots. I've got Devourer signatures moving toward the Sanctuary system. 3 big ones. Sungmin checked his tactical display. Sanctuary held 2 million Vorthak refugees and their families. The defense platforms there wouldn't last 5 minutes against a real Devourer attack. All ghosts form up on me, he ordered. We're going hunting. His ships looked like simple human patrol craft. Fast, lightly armed, designed for reconnaissance. The Vorthak defenders at Sanctuary barely acknowledged them as they arrived in system. Human vessels, you should evacuate. Admiral Grax transmitted. This is a military engagement zone. Copy that, Admiral, Sungmin replied. Just want to help with evacuation coordination. What he actually did was deploy his squadron in a pattern that looked random, but was actually a carefully planned ambush. When the 3 Devourer ships appeared at the system edge, they flew straight into the trap. The human ships dropped their disguises in perfect synchronization. Weapons that had been hidden in cargo pods unfolded. Engines that had been running at quarter power suddenly blazed with full military thrust. Sensors that had been pretending to be civilian-grade began tracking targets with deadly precision. The Devourers found themselves fighting enemies that moved like nothing they had encountered before. Human ships that should have been destroyed by the first salvo instead danced between energy beams like they could predict where the weapons would fire. Their return shots hit weak points in Devourer shields that no one should have known existed. Within minutes, 3 ships that had destroyed entire fleets were burning wreckage. The human squadron reformed and disappeared into hyperspace before anyone could ask difficult questions. But Admiral Grax had been watching. His combat recordings showed human ships performing maneuvers that broke several laws of physics. Weapons hitting targets at ranges that should have been impossible. Shields absorbing damage that would have vaporized cruisers. On Nexus Prime, Admiral Thys of the Zilani was having similar thoughts. She had been collecting reports of impossible human actions for weeks. Merchant ships that survived Devourer attacks. Research vessels that always seemed to know where the enemy would strike next. Diplomats who had detailed knowledge of alien military capabilities. These humans are not what they appear to be, she told her aide. I want full surveillance on all human activities. Deep scans, detailed analysis, everything. Yes, Admiral. Though their ships do seem to have unusually good sensor shielding for civilian vessels. Thys flickered her eyes in thought. Sensor shielding that good wasn't civilian technology. It was military grade. Possibly more advanced than anything the Zilani used. She was starting to suspect that humanity had been lying to the galaxy for a very long time. Dr. Ji-Hai was running out of ways to explain her research. Officially, she was studying alien biology for peaceful trade purposes. In reality, she was developing weapons that could kill Devourers. The new virus strain is ready for testing, her assistant reported. It should disrupt their organic components while leaving normal biology alone. Good. Package it as a medical research breakthrough and send copies to all Federation fleets. Tell them it might help protect against Devourer bioweapons. What she didn't mention was that the medical research was actually a targeted plague designed to eat Devourer ships from the inside out. Her team had spent decades studying every known form of alien technology. When the Devourers appeared, she already knew how to fight them. The problem was that her knowledge was becoming too obvious. Other scientists were starting to ask how a peaceful research facility could develop anti-Devourer weapons so quickly. How did she know so much about enemy biology when the attacks had only started weeks ago? Captain Wu Jin faced his moment of truth above the Vorthak colony world of Kalar. 2 million civilians lived on the planet's surface. The defense fleet had already been destroyed. 12 Devourer ships were moving in for the kill. His heavy cruiser Incheon was alone against an enemy force that could crack planets. By all military logic, he should have run. Preserved his ship for the greater good. Let the colony die to save his crew. Instead, he thought about the children on that planet. Vorthak younglings who had never hurt anyone. Families who just wanted to live in peace. He opened a channel to his crew. This is the captain. I'm about to reveal our true capabilities to save those people. If anyone objects, speak now. Silence on the comm. His crew had trained their whole lives for this moment. Weapons, drop all disguises. Engineering, give me full power. Tactical, show them what a real human warship can do. The Incheon transformed. Hull plates slid away to reveal weapon batteries that belonged on a dreadnought. The ship's fusion reactors, running at a fraction of their capacity for 2 centuries, roared to full power. Engines that had been pretending to be civilian grade suddenly produced thrust that could accelerate a moon. What happened next was broadcast across the galaxy. A single human cruiser engaged 12 Devourer ships and won. The engine moved through the enemy formation like a shark among minnows. Its weapons fired with precision that turned Devourer vessels into expanding clouds of debris. The most shocking part wasn't the victory. It was how easy the human ship made it look. Admiral So Young received the combat recordings on her flagship, still disguised as an obsolete patrol vessel. The secret was out. Too many people had seen too much. Human ships performing impossible feats, human research producing miraculous breakthroughs, human tactics that worked too well against an unknown enemy. Orders from Earth Command, her communication officer reported. The Shadow Council is authorizing Operation Revelation. We're cleared to drop the masquerade. So Young nodded. It was time. The Devourers were massing for their final assault on the core worlds. Alien fleets were broken and demoralized. The galaxy was hours away from total defeat. Time to show them what humanity had really been building. Signal all hidden assets, she ordered. This is Admiral So Young to all Human Defense Force units. Drop your disguises and reveal yourselves. The galaxy needs to see who we really are. Across the galaxy, human ships shed their peaceful facades. Merchant vessels unfolded weapon arrays. Research ships deployed fighter squadrons. Mining stations revealed themselves as heavily armed fortresses. But that was just the beginning. In the hidden shipyards of the Outer Rim, Construction Chief Dong Min gave the order that humanity had been preparing for 2 centuries. Launch the planet ships. Terra Nova moved out of its construction bay like a small world coming to life. Its surface was covered in cities, factories, and weapon emplacements that could be seen from orbit. Fighter bays opened along its equator, releasing clouds of ships that numbered in the tens of thousands. 2 more planet ships followed. New Earth and humanity's will, each the size of a small moon, each carrying the firepower to destroy fleets and the industrial capacity to build new ones. Ambassador. Hyunwoo stood before the emergency session of the Federation Council with a very different expression than usual. Gone was the mild, peaceful diplomat. In his place stood a military officer whose species had been preparing for this war since before most of the aliens were born. Ladies, gentlemen, and respected beings, he began. My name is Ambassador Hyunwoo of the Human Defense Force. For the past 200 years, my people have been lying to you. We are not peaceful traitors. We are your guardians, whether you knew it or not. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Accusations of deception, demands for explanation, cries of betrayal. Hyunwoo waited for the noise to die down before continuing. The Devourers have returned before. This galaxy has been invaded and devastated multiple times throughout history. Each time the survivors rebuild, grow strong, and forget the lessons of the past. We decided to break that cycle. General Crix, his pride already shattered by military defeats, could barely speak. You've been watching us, studying us? All this time? Protecting you, Hyunwoo corrected. Every human colony was a hidden fortress. Every trade route was a supply line for our fleets. Every peaceful research station was gathering intelligence on threats you couldn't see coming. Admiral Thys leaned forward, her 4 eyes focused intently. The impossible human victories. Your ships are military vessels in disguise. Our scouts are better than your battleships, Hyunwoo said simply. Our real warships are about to arrive. I suggest you prepare yourselves. The galaxy is about to see what humanity looks like when we stop pretending to be harmless. On the long-range sensors, 3 massive contacts were approaching Nexus Prime. Ships the size of small worlds, moving with purpose and power that made every alien in the chamber feel very, very small. The galaxy was about to meet its real protectors. Captain Taeho was drinking coffee on the bridge of the New Sol when his ship's sensors screamed warnings. Something massive had just appeared at the edge of the system, something that shouldn't exist. Sir, contact bearing 27 Mark IV. It's huge, his sensor officer stammered. On the main screen, a ship materialized that was larger than most space stations. Its hull was black as space itself, covered in strange patterns that hurt to look at. Weapon ports opened along its sides like hungry mouths. That's not in any database, whispered his navigation officer. Taeho knew exactly what it was. Every human in space had been briefed on this possibility. The Devourers had returned. Emergency signal to all ships in system, he ordered. This is Captain Tejo of the New Sol. Unknown hostile vessel has appeared. All civilian traffic evacuate immediately. 3 Vorthak warships were already moving to intercept the alien vessel. Tejo watched as the proud warriors charged toward what they thought was just another pirate ship or rogue vessel. They had no idea they were flying toward death itself. The Devourer ship didn't even slow down. Beams of pure energy reached out and touched the Vorthak vessels. Where the beams hit, metal simply ceased to exist. 3 ships that had terrorized pirates for decades vanished in seconds. By the ancestors, breathed his weapons officer. What kind of weapon was that? The kind that destroyed entire civilizations, Tejo said grimly. Set course for the jump point. We need to warn the Federation. But first he activated a hidden transmitter that would send coded signals to every human vessel in the galaxy. 3 simple words that would change everything. The hunt begins. On Nexus Prime, the Federation Council was in chaos. Reports were flooding in from across the galaxy. Ships appearing from nowhere, colonies going silent, entire fleets vanishing without a trace. Ambassador Hyunwoo sat quietly while alien leaders shouted at each other. General Crick slammed his massive fist on the council table, making the smaller delegates jump. Whoever these attackers are, the Vorthak Empire will crush them, he roared. No one challenges the might of our fleets. Admiral Thys of the Zilani flickered her 4 eyes in disagreement. These ships use technology we don't understand. Perhaps we should study them before charging into battle. Study? Laughed Minister Grath of the Trading Worlds. While our colonies burn, we need action, not research. Hyunwoo finally spoke up. What do we know about these attackers? Where did they come from? That's the problem, said the Federation's chief scientist, a floating gas bag creature called Supervisor Zeph. They appeared simultaneously across dozens of systems. No ships, no fleets, no supply lines. They just materialized and started destroying everything. Hyunwoo nodded thoughtfully. Inside he was calculating. Earth Command needed more time to prepare. The planet ships weren't ready yet. Humanity's hidden fleets were still moving into position. Perhaps, he said carefully, we should focus on evacuation first. Save as many lives as possible while we gather information about this threat. General Crick snorted. Typical human thinking. Always running instead of fighting, Hyunwoo smiled. You're absolutely right, General. Humans prefer to avoid unnecessary violence. If only they knew. Commander Jin-A was flying what looked like a routine patrol when the Devourer attack hit the Raven's Nest system. The mining colony had a population of 50,000, mostly Zilani families working the asteroid fields. Her ship, the Busan, appeared to be just a simple human frigate. The Zilani Defense Force barely acknowledged her presence as they moved to engage 3 Devourer vessels approaching the colony. Human vessel, came a transmission from the Zilani commander. Evacuate the area immediately. This is a combat zone. Understood, Jin-A replied, moving to safe distance, but she didn't run. Instead, she watched as the Zilani ships engaged the Devourers. The aliens had good ships and brave crews, but they were fighting an enemy that had perfected warfare when their species was still learning to make fire. The first Zilani cruiser died when a Devourer beam sliced it in half. The second managed to fire a few shots before energy weapons turned it into glowing gas. The third tried to ram one of the attackers and simply vanished when it hit the alien ship's shields. Now the Devourers were heading straight for the colony. 50,000 civilians were about to die, and Jin-A was the only ship in range to help. She activated her ship's hidden systems. The Busan's hull panels slid away, revealing weapon arrays that belonged on a battleship. Her engines flared with power that should have been impossible for a frigate. Her sensors, suddenly freed from their disguises, could track every molecule in the system. This is Commander Jin-A to Raven's Nest Control, she transmitted, beginning evacuation support. What happened next would be talked about in alien military academies for generations. A single human frigate engaged 3 Devourer vessels in one. Jin-A's ship danced between energy beams that had destroyed cruisers. Her weapons, hidden behind fake hull plating, tore through Devourer shields like they were made of paper. When the last alien ship exploded, Jin-A quickly disguised her weapons again. By the time rescue ships arrived, the Busan looked like a simple frigate that had somehow gotten very lucky. But Admiral Thys, watching the battle recordings, knew luck had nothing to do with it. She started asking questions about human ship capabilities that made Hyunwoo very nervous. Dr. Jihai received the first samples of Devourer technology 3 days after the attacks began. Her hidden research facility, disguised as a farming cooperative, quickly became the galaxy's most important scientific installation. Their technology is organic, she reported to the Shadow Council. Living metal that adapts to damage. Weapons that think for themselves. These aren't just machines, they're a fusion of biology and technology. Weaknesses? Asked Admiral So Young. Every living thing has weaknesses. I just need time to find them. But time was running out. The Devourer attacks were getting stronger. More ships were appearing every day. The Outer Rim colonies were falling one by one, and alien fleets couldn't stop them. Strategic Coordinator Minho watched the tactical displays from his command center hidden inside what looked like an asteroid mining station. Red marks showed Devourer attacks. Blue marks showed Federation forces. The blue marks kept disappearing. The Vorthak just lost their 5th fleet, reported his aide. 300 ships destroyed in 40 minutes. The Zilani are pulling back to their core worlds, added another officer. Their advanced technology isn't making any difference. Minho studied the patterns. The Devourers were testing Federation defenses, learning their capabilities. Soon they would begin their real assault. Signal Admiral So Young, he ordered. Tell her it's time to move the planet ships into position. We can't wait any longer. On the edge of human space, Construction Chief Dongmin watched as Terra Nova prepared for its first mission. The massive world ship was still under construction, but it was functional enough to fight. Its surface bristled with weapon emplacements that could level mountains. Its interior held factories that could build entire fleets. All systems green, reported his chief engineer. Terra Nova is ready for combat operations, Dongmin nodded. After 200 years of preparation, humanity's secret weapons were about to reveal themselves to the galaxy. The question was whether the galaxy would survive long enough to see them. Captain Tejo brought the new soul limping into Federation space with news that made every alien leader go silent. The Devourers weren't just attacking random targets. They were following a pattern, moving systematically toward the galaxy's core worlds. They're not raiders, he told the emergency council session. This is an invasion, a planned conquest of the entire galaxy. General Crix, his earlier confidence shattered by the loss of his fleets, asked the question everyone was thinking. How do we fight an enemy that can destroy our best ships without effort? Ambassador Hyunwoo looked around the chamber at the frightened alien faces. Soon, very soon, he would have to reveal humanity's true nature, but not yet. His people needed just a little more time. We fight together, he said simply. Pool our resources, share our knowledge, and hope we can find a way. What he didn't say was that humanity had already found the way. They just had to survive long enough to use it. Ambassador Hyunwoo smiled at the alien delegates as they laughed about human weapons. The tall, blue-skinned Vorthak general was telling jokes about how weak human ships looked. The silver-scaled Zilani admiral nodded in agreement, her 4 eyes glowing with amusement. Humans are good for trade, General Crix said, his voice booming across the Federation Council chamber. But war? They barely have any real warships. Their biggest ship is smaller than our destroyers, Hyunwoo kept smiling. He had been Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Federation for 15 years. Every day, he listened to aliens talk about how peaceful and harmless humans were. Every day he agreed with them. Every day he lied. The truth was hidden in the dark spaces between stars where no alien sensors could find it. In those cold, empty places, humanity was building something that would make these proud alien warriors wet themselves in fear. Far from the bright lights of Nexus Prime, Admiral So Young stood on the bridge of what looked like an old human cruiser. The ship's hull was scratched and dented. Its weapons looked outdated. Alien ships that passed by barely gave it a second look, but looks could kill. Status report, So Young said to her crew. Around her, officers worked at stations that appeared simple, but hid technology that was centuries ahead of anything the aliens had. Project Gaia is on schedule, reported her first officer. All construction sites are hidden and operational. The aliens suspect nothing, So Young nodded. Project Gaia was humanity's greatest secret. While aliens thought humans were just peaceful traders, they were actually building the largest warships in galactic history. Ships so big they looked like small planets. Ships that could destroy entire fleets without breaking a sweat. Deep in an asteroid field that looked empty and worthless, Construction Chief Dong Min watched thousands of workers building humanity's true strength. The asteroid had been hollowed out and turned into a massive shipyard. Inside, something incredible was taking shape. The workers were building a ship that was 500 kilometers across. It looked like a small world covered in weapons and armor. Millions of people could live inside it. It could build its own fleet of smaller ships. It was a moving fortress that could crack planets. "How long until the first planet ship is ready?" Dongmin asked his assistant. 6 months, Chief. The Terra Nova will be humanity's first operational world ship. After that, we can finish one every year. Dongmin smiled. The aliens had no idea what was coming. They thought humans were weak because that's what humans wanted them to think. Every human colony, every research station, every trade post was actually a hidden military base. Humanity had been preparing for war for 200 years. In her secret laboratory on what aliens thought was a simple farming world, Dr. Ji Hai studied files on every alien species in the galaxy. She knew their biology, their weaknesses, their military tactics. She had spent decades learning how to fight them all. "The Vorthak are strong but slow," she said to her research team. "Their ships have heavy armor but weak shields. A fast attack on their flanks would cripple them." "What about the Zolani?" asked one of her assistants. "Smart but arrogant. They think their technology makes them superior. They never expect enemy ships to have better weapons than they do. That will be their downfall." Jihi had files on every major species in the Federation. She knew how to defeat them all. Not because humans planned to conquer the galaxy, but because they planned to protect it. The galaxy was full of dangers that most species didn't understand. Ancient ruins spoke of terrible wars that happened millions of years ago. Something had wiped out entire civilizations multiple times in the past. The current alien species had built their worlds on the bones of those who came before. Humans had learned this truth when they first joined the Federation. While aliens celebrated their advanced technology and powerful fleets, humans quietly studied the ruins. They learned about the cycles of destruction. They realized that something was coming back, so they prepared. Every human in space was part of the plan. The merchant ships carried hidden weapons. The mining colonies hid underground factories. The research stations were actually military command centers. Even the diplomats like Hyunwoo were trained soldiers. Captain Taeho commanded what looked like a simple exploration ship. Other species saw the new soul as harmless. Just another human vessel looking for new trade routes. They didn't know it carried sensors that could detect threats from light years away. They didn't know its computers contained detailed maps of every alien military installation in the galaxy. "Sir, we're picking up something strange on the rim," his sensor officer reported. "The automated listening posts are going silent one by one." Taeho felt his blood run cold. The listening posts were humanity's early warning system, hidden throughout the galaxy to watch for threats. If they were going silent, it meant only one thing. "Send a coded message to Earth Command," he ordered. "Tell them the sleepers are waking." The sleepers. That's what humans called the ancient enemy that had destroyed galactic civilization before. The machines that had wiped out entire species and then vanished into the dark between stars. The Devourers. On Earth, the Shadow Council received Taeho's message. Admiral So Young, Dr. Ji Hai, Strategic Coordinator Minho, Resource Director Yoon-ji, and Construction Chief Dong Min gathered in a secret bunker deep beneath the planet's surface. "It's starting," So Young said quietly. "After 200 years of preparation, the real test is coming." "Are we ready?" asked Minho. "We have 12 planet ships under construction. 3 are almost finished. Our hidden fleets are in position throughout the galaxy. Every human knows their role. The aliens will panic when the attacks begin," said Ji Hai. "They'll realize their fleets can't protect them. That's when they'll need us. But we can't reveal ourselves too early," warned Yoon-ji. "If the aliens learn what we've been hiding before the real threat arrives, some of them might try to stop us." So Young nodded. "We stick to the plan. We let the galaxy see us as peaceful traders until the last possible moment. When the Devourers reveal themselves, when alien fleets start dying, then we'll show them what humanity really is." On Nexus Prime, Ambassador Hyunwoo continued to smile and nod as alien commanders made their jokes about weak human ships. But deep in his mind, he was counting down the days until those same commanders would be begging for humanity's help. The galaxy thought it knew humans. It was about to learn how wrong it was.